The confirmed number of cases of the coronavirus in Los Angeles County today comes to 62,338. The confirmed number of deaths reaches 2,620. Here in Torrance, the total number of confirmed cases is 409, with confirmed deaths at 46. We anticipate those numbers to increase as the last 24-hour operating period in LA County is updated. Welcome to COVID-19 Today. I'm Leslie Robbins. It's 2 p.m. on Saturday, June 6. Some exciting news for Californians as the state announces another big milestone in the recovery efforts of COVID-19. State public health officials released guidance for counties on reopening a broad range of businesses that have been closed since mid-March, and says it will be up to the individual counties to make the decision to say whether they are ready to open or not. Los Angeles County public health officials are expected to release new orders allowing schools, gyms, day camps, and bars to officially reopen as early as next Friday, June 12th. Counties that have met certain thresholds on the number of cases, testing capabilities, and preparedness for a potential surge will be allowed to start reopening these sectors. Governor Newsom has followed a phased approach to reopening the economy with a four-step process, starting with low-risk businesses in Phase 1 to now industries considered higher risk in Phase 3. The recently released guidance also includes rules for hotels, casinos, museums, zoos, aquariums, along with music, film, and television production. Guidance for museums, galleries, zoos, and aquariums encourages using credit cards and contactless forms of payment, as well as one-way walkways and hallways to limit contact, and single-use maps, pamphlets, and guides to be provided to patrons along with digital copies. As schools wrap up the school year, local summer camps are gearing up to potentially open for families soon. Based on the state's recently released guidelines, organized camps will also be given the green light to resume business with safety protocols in place. Now, this could mean a reduction in enrollment to be able to maintain socially distanced among the kids, adjusting activities and limiting sharing of supplies and equipment, adding additional cleaning guidelines, disinfecting and ventilation recommendations, along with staggered scheduling, arrival, and drop-off times. Organizations like Perfect Day Surf Camp, which holds week-long camps at Torrance Beach, along with several other South Bay locations, say they've already contacted families, letting them know their socially distanced surf camp is taking applications and will be ready to go once they get the official word from the county. With California heading into Phase 3, what will it look like for schools in the fall? Well, in addition to physical distancing, the state plans to supply every school and child care center with no-touch thermometers, hand sanitizer, face shields for every teacher, cloth face coverings for staff and students, and a tight-fitting N95 mask for healthcare professionals on campus. While the state can't order schools to close, it can offer recommendations for districts to follow. The guidance asks schools to keep students 6 feet apart at all times, in the classroom, in the hallways, and at recess. It also says schools should consider installing portable hand washing stations as part of the rigorous hygiene protocols, urging students and staff to wash their hands before and after eating, coughing, using the restroom, sneezing, and being outside. The state also suggests staggering arrival times to minimize contact between students, staff, and families, and serving meals in the classrooms or outdoors rather than the cafeterias. It calls for intensified cleaning and disinfecting daily of frequently touched surfaces on school buses and in buildings such as door handles, light switches, students' desks, and chairs. The guidelines prepared by the California Department of Health offered the most formal reopening framework so far for school districts. State Superintendent of Schools Tony Thurmond said he expects a hybrid model of instruction, balancing traditional classes and remote learning to accommodate the need for physical distancing. Thurmond is expected to release the Department of Education's guidelines for school reopenings next week. With the state's guideline to reopen schools, the Governor's Office of Emergency Services and the Department of General Services said they will distribute personal protective equipment and other supplies to traditional, charter, public, and private schools, along with child care facilities. The agency plans to send out more than 47,000 no-touch thermometers for every school and child care facility, roughly 2.4 million face shields for every teacher and child care provider, more than 14 million cloth face coverings for staff and students, more than 16 million disposable masks, 123,000 N95 masks for school-based health professionals, and 143 gallons of hand sanitizer. Fitness enthusiasts and business owners may be relieved to hear they are next to open in California's phased reopening plan. According to the Department of Public Health, workers at fitness facilities will be required to wear face coverings, especially in situations where social distancing may not be possible. Gloves may be encouraged as well. Gyms are asked to implement a reservation system to control the number of people in the gym at the same time and utilize it to contact patrons 24 hours in advance of their arrival to confirm that they are not displaying symptoms or living in a household with anyone showing signs of COVID-19. Some popular fitness centers like Equinox and SoulCycle say members will be required to use hand sanitizer before entering the club and will be scanned by touchless thermometers along with staff. Floor markers will indicate safe distance in the lobby, locker room, and between machines. The YMCA Metropolitan Los Angeles says temperature checks will be done as well. For now, locker rooms and child activity centers will remain closed. YMCA said they will need to hire back staff and train them on the new protocols in place. A popular movie theater chain says they may not survive this pandemic. AMC warned this week that being closed for nearly 3 months and film studios forced to release more movies directly to viewers over the internet could put them at risk to close their doors permanently. Despite raising prices and offering an upgraded movie-going experience with a change in their concession services, company officials say admission has been on the decline since 2005. Another concern is Hollywood's break in film production, which is also likely to delay movies once theaters are able to reopen. AMC is the largest U.S. chain of movie theaters and are working to create modifications and policies to reopen safely. This includes vigorous cleaning protocols like disinfecting seats in the morning and before each showtime, also requiring all employees but not customers to wear masks and staggering showtimes to limit the crowds. Now, a much different story for streaming services, which has seen a boom in business since the health pandemic began. Millions are turning to video-on-demand streaming services like Netflix, YouTube, Amazon Prime, Apple TV, and Hulu. Nearly all have had record subscriber growth and viewing hours this spring. Netflix announced 90 million households watched action film Extraction, starring Chris Hemsworth, in its first month online, their biggest film premiere. Over the past 3 months, Disney Plus has reportedly added 30 million subscribers. HBO Max has also gotten a lot of attention for their robust collection of classic films readily available to watch. Disney Plus announced plans to release Hamilton the Musical on July 3rd, which is expected to drive up new subscriptions as well. Consumers are also finding deals like Apple TV Plus, giving away a year's worth of a subscription with the purchase of an Apple device. So no matter which service you use, there is sure to be enough content to keep you and your family entertained for hours while staying safer at home. Seattle-based department store NORDSTROM announced plans to permanently close more than a dozen underperforming stores throughout the U.S. NORDSTROM officials said sales were down 40% company-wide after temporarily closing its stores in March due to COVID-19. But while other department stores like JCPenney and Neiman Marcus have had to file for bankruptcy, NORDSTROM officials say they are in a strong financial position. CEO Eric Nordstrom said in a news release, quote, "We're entering the second quarter in a position of strength, adding to our confidence that we have sufficient liquidity to successfully execute our strategy in 2020 and over the longer term," end quote. While the Torrance location was not on the list of stores to close, 16 of the stores that will shut their doors for good include locations in Escondido, Montclair, Pleasanton, Riverside, Sacramento, and Santa Barbara. NORDSTROM currently has 116 stores throughout the U.S. As restrictions have lifted, nearly 3 dozen NORDSTROM stores have reopened, along with more than 90 Nordstrom Racks locations. NORDSTROM announced some of their safety protocols at their stores, which includes conducting health screenings for employees, providing face coverings for everyone, social distancing of 6 feet or more, increased cleaning and sanitation, modifying the fitting room experience, keeping tried-on or returned merchandise off the sales floor for a period of time, adapting high-touch services and customer events, and continuing to offer contactless curbside service. The NORDSTROM at Del Amo Fashion Center remains closed as they prepare for reopening. California Governor Gavin Newsom directed the state's police training program to stop teaching officers how to use a deadly stranglehold technique, sometimes referred to as the carotid hold or restraint. Now, it's a maneuver designed to block the flow of blood to the brain. The restraint was intended to put a combative person in a momentary state of unconsciousness so police can arrest them. Newsom endorsed legislation that would ban the practice statewide. This is one of the first initiatives on police use of force, following more than a week of protests across the country over the death of George Floyd. Floyd's death has prompted police departments to review their practices and methods. In California, the San Diego Police and County Sheriff's Departments are among the agencies that announced this week that they would stop using the carotid hold. Newsom said, quote, "We train techniques on stranglehold that put people's lives at risk and that has no place any longer in 21st century practices and policies," end quote. In 2019, Newsom also signed a law that limits police use of lethal force to defending against an imminent threat of death or serious injury to officers or bystanders. The old standard allowed officers to use lethal force if they had reasonable fear, which made it rare for an officer to be charged or convicted. This was promoted by a 2018 fatal police shooting in Sacramento. Thousands continue to gather in peaceful protests, standing in solidarity against issues of police violence, social injustice, and systemic racism all throughout Southern California. Today, a second memorial service was held for George Floyd in Rayford, North Carolina, where Floyd was born. While Floyd's death was ruled a homicide and all 4 officers involved have been arrested and charged, it has sparked a global movement and demand for change. Demonstrations continue to be held around the world, protesters demanding justice for Floyd and many other Black Americans killed in police brutality. Here in the South Bay, a paddle out was scheduled at Torrance Beach just this morning, a peaceful protest outside of City Hall, as well as organized walks between pier to pier in the South Bay. Popular TV characters are lending a helping hand in starting meaningful conversations with kids about race and racism. The cable news network, CNN, joined forces with Sesame Street and hosted a televised town hall called Coming Together, Standing Up to Racism. The program was designed to be watched by children and families to discuss topics of racism, the recent protests, and how to embrace diversity and be more empathetic towards people who have lived different experiences. Big Bird joined CNN commentator Van Jones, CNN anchor and national correspondent Erica Hill in moderating the event, along with Atlanta Mayor Keisha Lance Bottoms, sharing the message about how to make a change. The 1-hour-long event included appearances by Elmo, Abby, Rosita, as well as experts who helped answer questions submitted by viewers. This is the second town hall event that CNN and Sesame Street have co-hosted. The first one took place in April to talk about the coronavirus pandemic with families and kids. In case you missed it, you can find the link on CNN.com. While you won't be able to see it with the naked eye, scientists have said a stadium-sized asteroid is headed toward Earth today. But not to worry, it is expected to pass by safely and from far enough away. It's named 2002 NN4. The large rock is more than 1,000 feet across and will swing by Earth close enough to make it onto NASA's Close Approach List, which documents near-Earth objects and dates they approach. According to NASA's Planetary Defense Coordination Office, this is a unique asteroid as it's bigger than roughly 90% of asteroids and compared it to the size of a football stadium. It takes about 300 days for it to orbit the sun and is expected to pass near the Earth at least 30 times in the next several decades. Thankfully, the space rock is predicted to stay more than 3 million miles away, or 13 times farther from us than the moon. Well, if you're one of thousands who won't be part of a traditional graduation ceremony due to COVID-19, we want to celebrate you and your big milestone. Whether it's a preschool promotion or a college graduation and every milestone in between, send us your photo and let us know what school you are graduating from. We'll be sure to share it on our show. Email us at covid19today@torranceca.gov. Well, before we go at the end of each program, we'd like to share stories from our community, feel-good pictures, images, and videos that remind us of how resilient our community is and reflects how Torrance truly cares. Local frontline workers stood in solidarity against racism this week. Medical staff from both Torrance Memorial and Providence Little Company of Mary Medical Center lined the front of their hospitals holding signs that read "White Coats for Black Lives" and "Black Lives Matter," and many kneeling on one knee. Dozens stepped outside of the hospital to show their support of the global movement taking place. They said it was a peaceful and meaningful way for them to participate and voice their support. Now, if you have a great story or have pictures or videos you'd like to share or just want to say hello, please email us at covid19today@torranceca.gov. Stay informed by signing up at torranceca.gov/Torrance Alerts. Subscribe to City Cable's YouTube channel and be sure to like the city's Facebook page. That is our update for COVID-19 today. We hope you'll join us again tomorrow at 2 p.m. as Christine Lee brings you the latest updates. Please be safe, stay healthy, and thank you for tuning in. We will see you next time.